Welcome to this another video. So in this video we'll be learning how to create a custom and reusable pagination component using Laravel 8. We'll be using the API from Laravel 8. We'll be using Vue3 as the front end, and also CSS we'll be using Bootstrap. So in this video we'll be learning to implement this pagination component in a way that it will be used across different other components. So for that, to demonstrate that, we'll be implementing this reusable component, which is pagination component, into this ongoing data table component. So this video will cover this thing. So for this, what I have done is, within this components directory I created a new component called paginator.vue, and over there I have simply pasted this HTML from this Bootstrap's website and simply exported this component. Nothing else has been done. So within this data table.vue I can simply import this paginator, and then I can register this as my one of the required component. So I do want to render the paginator component over here, so that can be done easily by using this code. So we want to render this paginator component only if the table data, and it's when the table data has data of with the length greater than 0. Otherwise we do not want to render this. So let's see what is the output of this code. So as you can see, we have successfully rendered a data table component which has this paginator, but this paginator component, so it is not reusable and it does not functions how we want to as per our need. So for this, let's see. This is the response from the API that Laravel sends to us. So we need to make use of this particular key, which is meta. So we need to send this data from this core data table component as a props to this, and this paginator component will consume this data, and based upon this props or this data, it will render other things like rendering the number of the pages and handling the other behaviors. So without any delay, let's continue. So within this data table.vue, let's simply create a object with the name of the pagination. So for now, let's add only two things to this. To one from one basically means we want this object to have two fields, to and from, which basically denotes it starts from page 1 and ends in page 1. So also over here, so as soon as the data is fetched, what do we want to do is we simply want to update the pagination to data.meta, because this is returned as the meta key from our Laravel. So let's simply pass this as one of the props. So before doing that, let's say that it wants pagination as the props, and let's reformat the code. So it is not working. Okay, now it should work. So over here we do want to accept a prop which is pagination, and then this needs to be of the type of the object, and it is required, it is mandatory props. Without this paginator component has no life in it, so we must pass this. So over here, so it is throwing some sort of error because we had missed this quotation. So it seems it's working fine. It should not work fine because I already have done this blunder, which is fixed over here. So instead of writing this extra line, let's end this within single opening and closing bracket. So over now, let's see if there is any change in the behavior and if there is any sort of error rendered. So as you can see, no error is rendered. So now we do want to calculate the total number of the pages. So for this I will add a computed property. So basically this will be page number. So I have copied this code and I will now explain this to you. So we do want to generate the page numbers within this component. So let's say initially the pages array is empty. So if the provided pagination.to because this pagination component, this data table component is sending this particular object as a property. So if this sent props or this particular object, if this does not have 2, so in that case we need to return an empty array, and we are calculating from over here. So basically it means we are calculating that let's say the page has started from 5 and it will end in 18, something like that. So this is basically for that purpose. So we need also to define something like we need to define something like offset over here. So let's set offset to 4 for now. So calculating from that can be done by subtracting the current page minus offset, and if the from is less than 1, so in that case from will be 1. So basically it means at least there is one data and there is one single page. And for 2, so that can simply be done by adding this from to multiplying the offset by 2. And if 2 is greater than or equal to last page, if this happens, so in that case, so we should not allow this to be and the 2 should be the paginator's last page. So with this we can simply run a for loop, and which will start from and it will end up to 2, and basically we can push all these things within this array. So I think this should work, but I think that we could simplify the code. So we can make the use of the ES6 array object restructuring. So basically what you can see that this code is being repeated lots of the times, like this dot pagination.to, this dot pagination.current page, this dot pagination.last page. So instead of reusing this thing like this dot pagination, so let's simply restructure this. So what are the things that we want to get? So we do want to get things like from to, okay, let's simply copy these things. Okay, let's say so from to current underscore page and the last underscore page. Okay, it does not has the option for the first page. So these are the things that we want to restructure from this dot pagination object, and this is failing. So okay, I think we can do it later on. First let's simply make this workable. So what we want to do is over here we want to loop over these things, like class is page dash item. So we want to loop through these page numbers. We want to loop through these page numbers, and basically we can assign the vtext, the values can be assigned. And let's remove this code. I think I removed another useful code as well. So let's remove this, and then let's see. The numbers are generated, but I think something is missing. Okay, I should have added these. I should have, okay, I think I missed something. Yes, definitely I missed this particular ahref tag. So that can be added over here. So instead of doing vtext over here, that can be done in this line, and this one static value can be removed. So now let's reformat the code, and let's see that we can see these page numbers are already so these are calculated based upon the provided properties or the props, and we are showing the values. So now that we have already calculated the page numbers. Now let's make this click functionality workable. So how can that be done? So let's work on that. So we need to add a click event. So when the click event is fired, so in that case we need to emit an event from this this is the child component, from this child component to the parent component, and this parent component is the data table component. It will listen to the event, and as soon as the event occurs, we will have to update we'll have to call this function. We'll have to call the function to fetch the data, this fetch data again. So let's move on. So let's see. So this is the previous button, so which basically will try to fetch the data of the previous page. But since we are on the first page, I don't think that it's good to have this field as active. So let's do something. Like you can see that currently the class page item or the page link has been added to this. So now we want to make it disabled, so that can be done by simply adding disabled. So let's see. Okay, it does not work. So we can see how can we get the disabled state. Okay, it's disabled, but it's not working. Page link and page item. Okay, that should have been sent to this place. So let's see. Disabled, you can see that this is disabled, but we are doing it manually. So we want this to be calculated and added disabled. So we want this to be disabled only in the case if the current page, only in the case of current page is 1. So how can that be done? So it is really easy within Vue. So this needs to be okay, let's add this. So we want to have the disabled class, and this will be done only in the case of pagination dot current underscore page, and if this the value of the current page is equal to 1. So let's reformat the code and let's reload the content. So as you can see that since we are loading the data for the first page, this value is disabled. So now we also do not want the next this button to be enabled when the current page's value is the last page. So let's simply copy the same code from this above line, and then we can simply paste it over here. So in this case, this needs to be if the pagination dot if pagination dot so this dot current page is equal to pagination dot last underscore page. So let's format the code. Let's send this to newer line so that it becomes visible to you as well, and then let's reformat the code to make it beautiful. So now I think it should work. So we'll check when we'll go to this last page. So now we do want to have we do want to show active state if the selected page is same. So what I mean to say is if we are fetching the data for page number 1, so in this case this one button, this needs to be active. So how can that be done? So we can see so 2 has class of active, so we can simply pass the class of active. So how can that be done? So for this since we are looping through this particular li, so within this we can add the same condition, like this is the class for the page item. So let's simply copy this same code to save the time, and let's paste it over here. So the class needs to be active in the case this needs to be active in the case uh, in the case the page is equal to current page. So let's do this. So what I mean to say is, if the looped value, if we are on the page number 1, so this needs to be active. Let's see. Okay, it generated some error because this should have been compare operator. Instead I made the use of the assignment operator. So as you can see, the page number 1, it is active because we are on the page number 1 at the moment. So the next thing that we want to achieve is the functionality of clicking. So currently nothing happens when we click on this, but we do want to add some functionality of so that these buttons will be clickable. So within this, let's split this into the multiple lines so that it can be achieved easily. Okay, let's reformat the code. So we do want to add a click event. So this is really easy within Vue. So we can simply select, say, click.prevent. So in this case, how can that be done is, we can simply we can add a function like change page, and what can be done is simply we can pass the page number. Okay, page numbers. I think it's better to rename this to page number from page. So I would like to rename this to page number, so it basically ensures good readability. Okay, give me a minute. I know this video is going to be longer because we are doing all these things from scratch, and this is really interesting as well. So I do want to add a method over here. So after computed, let's add methods. So basically we do want to change page, and this should accept the page number, which is an integer. So for now, let's simply allot the provided page number. So let's simply reload the page. So on clicking this, you can see that 2 is rendered. So for the 6, we are getting the exact value. So also we do want to make sure that both of these fields are clickable, so that can also be handled easily. So for these things, even these two things, or the two li items, they can have their specific click event. So it will be something like okay, click prevent. So we do want to change the page number, so it will be something like pagination dot current underscore page plus 1. So because if we are on the page 1 and we click on the next, it should go to page number 2. So that can be done by pagination current page plus 1. And let's copy this same code, and then over here this is for the previous one. So over here, let's split this into multiple line, and we can paste the same thing, and this will be done for the page current page minus 1. So remember, so this item will be automatically disabled if the current page's value is 1, and also this last li item, this next item will be it will be disabled automatically if the value is last page. So let's see if this works or not. So next, so it should return 2. It means it's working fine. So now that we have assigned now that we have created a method which will basically change the page number, so what we can do is, now we need to communicate from the parent, we need to communicate from the child component we need to communicate with the parent component. So how can that be done? So that can be done easily. So we do need to emit an event. So let's see the documentation of the Vue. So Vue emit event from child to parent. So I do want to go to the official documentation. So you can check the Vue.js website, and within this you should get this. So let's search for the emitting a value with an event. So you can see, so we need to emit an event from child. So that can be done within such commands. So I would suggest, if you are new to Vue and if you do not have the concept of emitting the events from child to parent, I do suggest you going to the official documentation and reading something related to this. So over here, so now let's simply emit an event. So we do want to emit an event. So this can be something like change page, and then we can pass the parameter as well, because we do want to change the page number. So we can simply emit the event, this $emit. We can simply do this, and we should make changes on our parent component as well. So this is our data table.view. It is the parent component. So this is the event that we are emitting. So this is change page. Okay, instead of this I would like to make something like handle page change. Okay, let's make it okay, no, we need to give something meaningful name like page change, so it sounds better to me. So let's add a event over here, like on page changed, what can be done is handle page change. Okay, so what we are trying to do is, so this is how the Vue emitter works. So we can directly add this @ and we can simply, we need to have the same name of the event, like we are creating a custom event which we are naming as page changed. So in case the page change event is emitted, so in that case we need to call this function or the method called handle page change. So within these methods I will simply collapse all these things, handle per page, and now here we will be handling the page change, and here we are expecting a page number. So over here we can simply say, the page number is, and we can simply try to see that this is working. Okay, now let's reload the content. Okay, you can see that we emitted an event with a value from child to parent. So it is working. We are going in the right direction, but this is page number 2. Okay, it's working well. So now what do you need to do is, you can see that we need to add a new data over here, that which needs to be page, and the page is 1 by default, and within this page data, so current page, the page value should be this dot page, because we already have implemented this in our API. It means we need to implement this in the front end as well. So let's say if I had, or if I wanted to get the data for the page number 5, I could simply have provided page as the query params and hit this, and which would have returned this data. So you can see page 5, you can see that current page is 5. So this is what we should do. We need to pass page as the query parameter while doing the Axios or the API call, and based upon this Laravel automatically behind the scenes handle this functionality. So now when the user emits that particular event of page being changed, so in that case we can simply set this dot page to the page number, and after this we can simply fetch the data. So now let's see this in action by reloading this. So we are currently on the page number 1. So let's say I want to click on this next. So doing this, you can see that the page number 2 is being highlighted, and the previous, which was disabled, now it seems to be active. So let's click on this. So it's active. So if I want to go to page number 9, so you can see that it's being active. So if I want to go to page number 11, it's working on. If I want to go to page number 18, it's working on. So let's inspect and see that actual data call also is being done in this case. So let's reload just to make sure that everything is fine. So when clicking next, so we are providing sort field, we are providing sort order, we are providing per page, and we are providing page is equal to 2 as well. So as you can see that this functionality is working fine. Yes, it does not have any issue. Okay, now let's see if the user wanted to search some nonsense data, which it basically means that the data does not exist and the data table rendering should not be successful. In that case, we should make sure that no error occurs. So let's do this. As you can see, because we had added this particular line over here that we wanted to render paginator component only if the table data's length was greater than 0. So let's empty this search field and see that we can okay. So since we were on the page number 18, it basically sent me to page number 18. So what if I wanted to search AS? So even in that case, I am on the page number 18. So I don't think this is something that we want. Let's say if I was to search for the Nelson, and okay, there is no data for the Nelson in the page number 18, but if this was the case, and if the user was on page number 1, so let's say if he was on the page number 1, it should have returned data. So it means while searching, we should make sure that the current page is set to 1. Okay, this can be done by doing this dot page is equal to 1, and let's simply reload this. Let's go to page number 7, and over here let's search for the Nelson, and then let's submit this button. So you can see that when this is something that we need to take care of, and then when clicking on this, you can see we are on back to the first page. So I think this is good enough for us. As you can see, we are loading how many datas at the moment? We are loading 20 datas at the moment, and if I want to go to page number 6, so it works. So we implemented the pagination, but I do want to add 2 more things over here. Like if I want to go to the first page and if I want to go to the last page, that also should be available. So over here the Paginator provides last page option to us, and also we do have basically the first page is 1. So within this Paginator.view, let's simply copy this li. So basically let's not copy the li. What are the things that we want? So basically we want class class with page item, and then over here we do want to have this something for the next. Instead of next, we want to have pagination dot last underscore page, and when the user clicks on this, we do want to add click dot prevent. So in this case we do want to call the same function change page. So we do want to call this change page, but in this case we need to send pagination dot last underscore page value needs to be sent. And also let's copy this same code and let's add this before the previous button, where change page needs to be 1, because the first page is always the one, and instead of writing this, it should have been first, and this basically needs to say last. Okay, you can name it anything, it solely depends upon you. So you can see this is first page, and I think this we should we should add the class of the disabled to we should add the class of disabled over here, because we do not want the user to click that again and again if he is basically on the same page. Okay, so over here as well, the class is page item along with if the current page is equal to pagination dot last page, in that case this needs to be disabled. So I reformatted the code using my IDE, which is PHP Storm. You can see that the first page is disabled at the moment because we are on the very first page, and allowing this to be clicked basically will allow extra network calls, which is not a good thing, because allowing multiple network calls consumes the more resources, which basically adds loads on the server. This is something that we should take care of. So now we can go to the click on this, we can go to the page number last. So clicking on this, we are on the last page. So clicking on the next, okay, it seems there is some issue. So let's check the network tab. Okay, let's go to the last page and let's try to click on this. Okay, it is still doing the network call, so let's fix this. It seems that we need to make some change over here. So instead of making li to be clickable, let's simply make this particular a tag to be clickable, and this should do the trick for us. So for the last page, let's try this, and if this works we can move on for another's. So last, okay, and now this is completely disabled. So now for the next also we need to have this same functionality. So let's simply cut this thing and paste it over here. And now because so let's split these things into multiple lines, because I do love to see all of these codes organized. Okay, but I don't know this is working. This formatter is not working. So let's go to the last next. Okay, let's go to the last page and let's try to click on the next this time. Okay, it's working. For the first, let's see, it is still doing the API call. So for this as well, let's simply cut this line from here and let's paste this over here, and let's reload this content once again. Let's try to click the first, it does not work. Let's try to click for the previous. So it is doing the nonsense for us, but now we do want to have this functionality over here as well. So let's simply paste this and let's move this into multiple lines to make it beautiful. The dogs are barking, okay, behind the scenes. Now let's reload the code. So we are on the first page, the previous is not clickable, first is not clickable. We can go to the last, next we can go to the particular page number 9, we can go to page number 12, we can go to the last, we can search for something like ram basically, and okay, mm, 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 mm. Okay, we can change the page numbers, so we can also change the sorting order, and we can reset this when doing this. It should go to page number 1. I can, so I think I need to do another thing as well. When this search is changed, this sort also needs to be updated, because what I saw is that I was on page number 6 and I sorted for this, and then if I go to page number 2, if I type something and I search, okay, it does not work for the RAM. Let's do, it's searching for the address, but when doing search I think this needs to be resetted to the default field. So over here, let's simply this dot search field, this needs to be this dot columns dot 0, just to make sure that this is being set to default value. Also we need to set this sort order to ASC. It means we want to get the data in the ascending order. So that will be good. So let's search, let's do sorting by RAM, sorry, let's do sorting by address in the descending order, and let's sort for the RAM, and you can see this is what I wanted to implement. Okay, so with this we have implemented a reusable paginator component. So basically this paginator or this pagination component are basically a paginator, so it is expecting for the props. So if you are using any other programming language other than Laravel, make sure that you can tweak this. So basically what you need to do is you need to pass a few things like current page, from, last, etc. That depends upon your need, and you can next you need to make sure that this computed field, make sure that you can calculate the pages. uh, okay, I also promised that I will I will reduce the code's complexity, because what I have seen is that we are making the use of these things. So let's fix this first before departing. Okay, this is from, okay, total from page, okay, from page to page. Okay, let's rename all these things to from page, and for 2 let's rename this to page. And now let's see what are the things that we want. So we want to get last underscore page. We want to this we want to get current underscore page. Also what do we want to get is that we want to get from and to from this dot pagination. Okay, so over here that can be replaced by this single line. So if there is no to, we can simply return empty array, and this dot pagination dot current page, that can be set to this. Also for the last page we can do this, and over here that can be done. So it seems that from is useless at the moment, but I fear that it will not work as per our but let's try. Let's go to the first page, let's go to the last page, let's try for the next, let's go for the page number 99, 95, let's do for the previous, let's fetch 50 items. Okay, what is the reason for this to fail? So we need to make sure that our component works fine. So let's go to page number 5 and let's do okay, 50. So I think this is something that I need to take care of. So even when changing this per page, the page value needs to be reset. So I think that's the duty. So handle per page, when we are changing the per page, in this case we need to reset the page to 1 as well. Okay, so because I was on the page number 6, and if I decide to display 20 items, and if I still remain on the page number 5, it will create some sort of confusion to the users. So I think that is the better way. Okay, this solely depends upon how you implement it. So let's say I wanted to get 50 data, uh, 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 50 data, and then if I want to go to page number 8, so that's done. But if I want to show only 5 data, so in that case I will be sent to page number 1. I think it's good from my end. Basically the concept is not concept is to give you idea about the paginator component and the data table component. So next thing, I want to add a basic line over here. So that will be the last part for this video. So basically I want to send say that we are displaying this much items out of this much. So for this I will have to pass something as props. So currently we are getting pagination as an object, but we need to get total items as well. So how can that be done? By okay, total items. So basically this needs to be type of the number, and it is required to be true. And now within this data table that view component, I want to send the total items. So how can that be got is, we can simply pass the table data dot length, and now over here after this we need to add a span with something. So over here let's add a span. So we can simply say showing how many data we are showing. So we are showing we just send this total items, showing total items. It basically means how many items are currently on the table, out of pagination dot total, because our Laravel it says, so there are currently 500 data in the database, but we are only returning this particular 5 items or some specific items based upon the need. So showing 5 of this much entries. Let's add something like this, and then let's try to reload. So showing 5 of 500 entries. Okay, it looks good, but I just want to add a class of empty dash 2 margin top 2. I think that should do the trick. Okay, and also ml to be 2. I just want this to be okay. Showing 5 of 500 entries. So currently we are showing only 5 of 500 entries, and if we had search RAM, and we can, if we had 10 datas, so in that case only 8 data was returned for this particular query. And for this we could have said this showing 8 of 8 entries. I think this seems to be good. I don't think anything else is remaining, but we could add something like I tag for this, just to make it italic. So now let's see. Okay, showing 5 of 500 entities, it looks good to me. Showing 10 of 500 entities, so entries, so it looks good to me. So basically we implemented all these functionalities. So the job of this video is done. So we are able to create a reusable paginator component as a part of the reusable data table component. So I think we almost covered everything that is required for a data table component. So in the upcoming videos, our target will be to convert all these things into composition API, because we are in the phase of Vue 3, and Vue 3 is the modern way of doing Vue. So we can completely migrate these things into composition API. So I'll be making videos for that. So also, yes, as I promised on the previous video, we need to add the loader, so that will be done in the upcoming videos. So that's all for this video, guys. So see you around in the next video. So our next video will be focusing on the composition API. So please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and you can add any comments if you have any queries, or if you want to give any feedback to me. You are always welcome. So thank you so much for your time. See you again. Bye bye.